Now, this is a strange one. A woman who opened a women-only gym has been forced to refund customers because the gym is for women only. This is Natalie Barnett. She posted on Twitter, respectfully, if you have a problem with trans women attending my gym, then you can find another gym to train at. Now, that seems reasonable enough, but the reaction has been as hysterical as you'd expect. Let's find out more from women's rights campaigner Kellie-Jay Keen. There she is. Hi. Lots of fans there, Kelly. And also, if we just cut to the front row, we have some of your posse in tonight. There they are, saying hello. So, welcome. So, Kelly, yes, this is the first time we've met. I've been to a few of your Let Women Speak events, and it was very tough for me to not speak. But, you've obviously seen this story this week, right?
Yes, of course, I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, is it? It seems like this is somewhat typical in that anytime someone denies women's only spaces, then it just all kicks off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single space women have carved out for ourselves, whether it be a profession, whether it be a very old tea and jam organisation, whether it's a women-only app, group, organisation, changing room, toilet, whatever we have that we have carved out for ourselves, these men just really, really don't like it, and they can't wait to try and erode that particular boundary. So yeah, it's common.
Yeah, and because the interesting thing also is that the person who started this gym, they did a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder, I believe, in 2021, where they said this would be a trans-inclusive space. Now, it's 2021, seems like a very long time ago, but I thought quite bravely, she came out and said, well, look, I've looked into it now, and actually, I'm just going to make this space for biological women, a.k.a. women, only. And we're seeing more of that, where people go away and they actually look at these issues and then they come back. But the reaction that she has received, I'm sure, has been a shock to her. The death threats, violence. I mean, this is what you've, of course, experienced for many years now. Yeah.
Well, I think she made the mistake, as some of the other women that I'm thinking of, you know, whether they had particular groups or apps or whatever, they made this mistake of thinking that it was a really nice, inclusive, wonderful, safe, quite right thing to do, nice and inclusive. And these poor, vulnerable men, they just want to work out and get undressed in those changing rooms. And then they come across those men, and then they realise that there's a perfectly good, well-evidenced and documented reason why women don't want men in their space. And in particular, women don't want men in their space who want to come in their space. You know, most men don't want to come anywhere near our spaces. They want to give us our spaces and our boundaries, and quite right. And it's those men that are sort of hammering the door saying, let me in, that apparently we're going to go, do you know what, I'm totally wrong about this, come on in.
Yeah, and doing it in such an aggressive manner. There was another clip went viral this week from another gym in America where did you see these trans activists were being quite aggressive towards this woman at I think it was a Korean gym, and she was basically, so what she's saying is, it's not that we're trans exclusive, we're just excluding things now into people who have, I think she said, appendages, and people who don't. And that's the criteria. Is that what people now need to do, basically?
I think people just need to use the words men and women. And I think anyone that pretends they don't know what that means should be excluded on the basis that they're not competent enough to use a public space. So that would be the resolution to this. It's Fair women enough. Only. And if you don't know what a woman is, you can't come in. And if you lie about what a woman is, then you can't come in either.
So and that should probably also be used in politics as well.
Oh, absolutely. Look, nobody really thinks that men are women. Nobody really thinks that. There's some people that think it's a good thing to say. There's some people that think it's politically expedient to pretend that they think it. But ultimately, no one really thinks it. You know, there's not a single woman in this country, and women are, unfortunately, quite the cheerleader for these men. There's not a single woman with small children that booked a babysitting service that when Janet turns up with a beard, says, do you know what, I am going to leave my kids. I trust you implicitly. I'm going to go and have a nice time. So it's just a lie, and we just need to stop lying.
Yeah, well, I'm just impressed if anybody can actually afford a babysitter at the moment. There's another story that's also happened, but I think it was Women's International Day, where one of your events, I don't think you were there, but a Let Women Speak event up north, and as they were holding the event, someone who worked for the council came along and basically tried to kick them out. Do you mind telling me about that?
Yeah, well, some women in our northeast region, Let Women Speak, they went along to an organised event, and their leaflet really did cause some devastating harm to a man's sensibilities, who thought that it was quite catastrophic that women would use words like, you know, women don't have penises and other such truths that we've been able to say for a long time, although we didn't need to, actually. I've said those words more than I care to remember in the last 5 years. I've used more words for genitals than I could possibly ever thought I needed. But yeah, someone got very upset, and they were really aggressive with the women. And I think one of the women filmed it, not particularly the most aggressive moment.
If we just quickly show a bit of the clip of it, because someone did, as you say, filmed it.
This building, because this building is a space for all on Friday, Saturday nights. Mm-hmm. Public sector equality duty requires us to foster good relations between all groups, and this isn't doing that, I'm afraid, so we'll have to ask you to leave.
I think you need
I answer your question?
I think you need to calm down a bit. I think you've come in very aggressively.
Okay, right, okay, I'll take it down. I'll relax. I'll show you how relaxed I am. There you go. Freedom of speech doesn't mean faultless speech. The front space and this space is a space for everybody. Mm-hmm. And
clearly not for women who want to voice their opinions. It's clearly not.
No, it's not about voicing your opinions. This is a safe space for people.
Is it a safe space for us?
It's a safe space for everybody, but not to voice those opinions.
So this gentleman, he was using the Public Sector Equality Duty, PSED, to argue that their opinion was making other people unsafe because it didn't promote equality and reduce discrimination. Of course, ironically, as is pointed out in the video, being discriminative himself.
Yeah. Well, look, I think he showed just how calm and rational he was when he sat on the floor. So I think we should all commend him for such calm and rational actions. I think look, as much as I really dislike what he said and what he did, I think we have a real fight on our hands to get this rot out of public sector anything, you know, whether it's medicine, whether it's right throughout the NHS, in the police, in the council buildings, wherever it is. It's not really his fault at the end of the day that he feels that it's his job to get cross with women. We give him a structure and a guideline that he can do that. And in fact, probably that he must do that. And they will have had this sort of bizarre Red Army style training where they're told that the most vulnerable people are men who call themselves women, and those men who call themselves women may not, for any sort of brief moment of time, be questioned about their identity. So I have a little bit of empathy for that man, trying to just do what he believes is what his job tells him to do. And that would be the fault of the government and the council and everybody who has really, what's a polite way of putting this, has really dropped the ball on this. And they've just let these activist lobby groups run rampant all the way through all of our public services. And it just simply must stop.
Yeah, but the question, I guess, now is how do we actually extricate that brainwashing from individuals like that and from these institutions. Anyway, thank you so much, Kellie-Jay Keen. Lovely to finally meet you. A spokesperson for Darlington Council said the leaflets breached the public sector equality duty of the council and that the space could not be used as an opportunity to promote transphobic views, as they have to foster good relations between people.